Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for the OPTC video, and in today's video, we're taking a look at 6+ Doflamingo over in PvP, and this guy got a pretty significant buff with his Super Evolution. Now, Super Evolution came out a pretty long time ago, came out with the Pika banner, the PvP Pika units. Oh man, I can't remember. It's been a while, but we finally get the skulls for this particular character. Don't love that they paywalled this particular Super Evolution, but if you compare it to some of the other Super Evolutions that have paywalled, it's definitely not the worst. Seeing as if you were summoning for Pika, you had a chance to pick up this guy. However, like, Pika was the main prize there. You definitely didn't want to pick up this guy compared to getting Pika, because like, Pika's the shiny new toy, where this guy you're always going to get a little bit down the line. Obviously, being an older legend, one of the first, if not the first, superclass unit in the game, most of you guys should have him pretty maxed out when it comes to dupes and stuff like that. He does have a super special now, which is incredibly strong. And if you guys had this guy for Assault Rumble, well, back when the Assault Rumble first came out, this guy was an absolute demon against the Dex fights, and slashes with boosters there as well. So he can pop off his special after 2 shots, targets large range for attack down and defense down level 10, and then targets 2 enemies with high HP for damage that bypasses defense. So he hits so damn strong. His Rumble ability went from Driven to being Strength-centric, and then he also lowers Dex-type enemies' HP and defense. So if you go up against any Dex units, this guy is just an absolute menace. Lowering HP is just, it's so sinister, because it's such a massive drop to the amount of HP pool that they actually attain. Plus, if you have any of the Don Quixote family, you get a CT up level 3. Realistically, Pika is the only one that is going to see this effect, so we're going to be bringing Pika over on a strength-centric team. This is what we're rocking today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, put a like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. With that said, let's dive in. Alright, so we're going to start it off with the challenge fights. We're going to start off with the newest challenge against Alpha and Garling. This one is like by far the hardest challenge fight. This one's kind of cooked. You compare it to the other ones, like the Death Shot of Roger Relic 1 is just absolutely terrifying. Garling at level 150 is just an absolute beast, and Sabo and S-Hawk on the bench, like, it's absolutely wild. You got Death Shots from Yamato too, so just some pretty funky stuff. But let's talk about the team that we're rocking Doflamingo today. Bit of a wonky-based strength team. This is essentially just the fighter shooter strength team that I usually rock with S-Snake. However, I just basically substituted Doflamingo in for S-Snake. You obviously can't run S-Snake because you need a full team of fighters and shooters, and Doflamingo doesn't really fit that bill. So I basically just substituted him straight in and put Kobe in the front rather than having Kobe on the bench, mainly because I wanted to have the extra fighter support up the front, and then Uta realistically is the only character that doesn't get the buffs from Pika. So that's kind of what I'm working with here. I was always planning for a Death Shot to kill someone. Unfortunately, it was Doflamingo, who is the showcase character, so that does make things a little bit hard. But obviously, Kuma coming in here is very, very valuable, because he can come in and do some absolutely wild-based things. Garling then pops off. Unfortunately, he's always going to hit Luffy, and his shot at level in break 5 is just, it's a death shot. Like, you can't really survive that. It's absolutely wild how much damage Garling can do if you have the max dupes that you need to get that guy popping off. So either way, like, we just did so much damage early on in the fight that we were pretty much in a really good spot. Pika's special with halving stats as well as putting up a shield is very handy as well. Kuma obviously did a lot of the grunt work, and then having Uta, even though she's not getting buffed under Pika, in the front lines works really, really well, because she's giving so much cooldown reduction. Partner that with Kobe and his haste ability and Sanji on the bench, and you can just have characters like Doflamingo go forward, you have characters like Luffy going very, very quickly, and it works out pretty nicely. So just managed to squeeze through the victory there. Obviously, Roger Relic getting their special off, and their Death Shot is very, very scary, and that's what makes this fight so damn strong. Alright, so on to the next fight. We have the challenge striker fight, which, again, very, very tough on this one with the release of the Vega Force and Lilith unit. Let's talk about Doflamingo, though. Unfortunately, so far, we haven't come up against any Dex units until now. So Nami is the one that is going to get pretty much the major debuffs. If you partner this with Pika and the debuffs that he's giving, provided you have 6 driven or fighter characters on the team, you can lower defense, you can lower HP, and you can do some crazy stuff when you go up against Dex units. Now, in the lore of PvP, strength should 9 times out of 10 beat Dex. It's just kind of how the game's functioned and how it's meant to work. And Doflamingo is just a character that's just going to work exceptionally well on your anti-Dex based teams. Not that Strength needs that right now. Like, Strength are in just such a good position that they can just pop off against decks with anyone. They don't need to have that bespoke anti-dex support. But Doflamingo, his damage output, that lowering of HP is just, it's actually ridiculous. If you just lower HP, the amount of like damage that's already inflicting to the character, it's wild. Like, I can't compare it to anything too much, but I would much rather lower HP than any other stat. Like, it's a big drop. It turns like needing to hit 15,000 into hitting 12,000, which is just a massive difference. Doflamingo's special as well is pretty good. He hits a whole bunch of characters, and then he does a damage shot that goes through defense. He buffs strength characters, as I mentioned, but now does not buff driven. Now, I kind of wish, in a way, that he did driven strength, like strength/driven, so that way you could still run him over on the driven team. I think that would just worked so damn well. I don't think you really need to give him anything else. You can still keep the debuffs for Dex, but like just have him buff a class that really needs the help. The 6+ Doflamingo on paper doesn't seem as good as the 6-star Doflamingo because driven need that much more help, but strength are in just such a better position that the amount of work that this particular Doflamingo is doing is just exceptional. In saying that, though, I don't think this is like the best rendition of the strength-based team. You have like the waifu level limit break, which is absolutely disgusting. You have S-Snake as well, which you could run in terms of the shooter fighter-centric based team. But at the same time, like Doflamingo, he's still incredibly strong. And the combination of him and Pica work exceptionally well. That extra 3 cooldown reduction that he gives to Pica is really, really nice at allowing Pica to get his special off very, very quickly. Combine that with Kobe and his level 3 cooldown reduction that he gives, and then using characters like Uta and Kobe to give cooldown reduction themselves. Having, like I said, having Pica go very, very fast is just, it's a really, really good way of letting Doflamingo and Uta get their super specials off. Now, there are characters that are gonna try and counteract that. For example, stuff like Blackbeard, and having a unit that is just going to roll back specials, do damage over time, and stop you from getting those specials off can be a bit problematic. But at the same time, Pica's on such a low cooldown that 3 cooldown, or 6 cooldown really with Kobe, it's very, very handy. Overall though, Doflamingo's damage and his nerfing is like his big draw. He doesn't really get those kill shots that like Luffy does, but he definitely puts characters in a range to allow Luffy to do the killing, which is always fun. Luffy can have a tendency on the strength team to go and just like lead the characters with a B stick of HP. Now with Doflamingo, he kind of hits them early, so that way they drop within the B stick, and then you just smash them with Luffy, and Luffy just basically takes out the entire team. So it's a really great damage wombo combo with Doffy and Luffy, and one that works just like exceptionally. It just works exceptionally well. And then if you get that super special off, the amount of damage this super special does is it's actually very, very handy. It's very, very nice. So, you really want to make sure you have the cooldown reductions, like I said, from Kobe and damn, that's frustrating. I wanted to see the Doflamingo super special. 9 times out of 10, like, getting a super special with 2 specials is just not that hard, but this has just seemed to be, in terms of the showcase, has just seemed to be a little bit problematic when it comes to actually getting that to work in our favor. Kuma here should, yeah, beautiful forced out, and then that should give us the win. That last second Luchikaku special was just a little bit problematic there. Got a little bit scary when we're going up against the Driven Powerhouse team, but managed to get the win. Very, very nice. I really want to see this super special Doflamingo. It's very, very cool. All right, so we're really going to test the strength team now. We're going to go up against Weevil and the quick team. The quick team doesn't really have like any crazy, oh my god, look at this nerfing that we can throw at the strength team for this particular challenge. I think there is one with Sugar and stuff like that, but that team's basically fodder. We are going up against a Akainu and a Jinbei on the bench, which can cause problems with strength. But this is just a great example of how far strength is ahead of quick. And when I said that 9 times out of 10 lore for PvP earlier about strength beating dex, this is a prime example of where power creep kicks in and teams just need a little bit of help or need a lot more help than some of the other teams in the game. Driven, for example, like they're in a good spot, but at the same time they're not in a good spot. Quick have good units, but they're just, again, not in a good spot. All right, here we go. Doflamingo, beautiful stuff. Perfect. Going up against the quick team's great because they move so fast. Yeah, so like even against type disadvantage, he's hitting something for something 11 to 12k on everyone, and then that death shot basically is killing 1 to 2 units. I think the character that didn't die had a shield. Is that what happened? I didn't really see who took that extra shot there, but a very, very early special from Doflamingo. One of the downsides to this strength team is though we are funneling a lot into attack rather than defense. And the defensive stat, obviously, in PvP is just, it's way more valuable than having the offensive stats. But at the same time, if you can move faster, you can kill enemies before they can do anything, provided you have enough damage to take down their HP, then like that's always going to get you the win, rather than sort of being a bulky stall-based team unless you're playing in Grand Party. So always something to note as well. So very, very nice getting the win there. But let me know what you guys think of the new 6+ Doflamingo and PvP down below. While you're down there, put a like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Let's